The crowd expected blood. That was why they gathered outside the courthouse before sunrise. Men leaned against hitching posts. Women whispered beneath their bonnets. Even children sensed something terrible was about to happen, because after 10 years, Duke Nathaniel Hawthorne had finally returned, and everyone knew exactly who he would come for. Evelyn Carter, the daughter of the man who had destroyed his family. The woman whose last name carried the weight of betrayal. The woman he should have hated. Nathaniel rode through town beneath a sky heavy with dust. No smile touched his face. No greeting escaped his lips. He looked exactly like the stories people had told. A man hardened by loss. A man who had buried too many people. Man who had spent a decade building power while waiting for the day he could return. The townsfolk parted as he dismounted. Nobody dared approach. Nobody except Evelyn. She stood near the courthouse steps. Simple blue dress, worn gloves. A face too beautiful for a life that had given her so little. Kindness. Their eyes met. The town fell silent. Nathaniel had been 18 when he left. 20-8 now. Older. Stronger. Colder. Evelyn barely recognized him, yet she immediately saw the pain. It never truly leaves. Not after losing everything. Nathaniel stopped a few feet away. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Evelyn lowered her gaze. "You've come back." His voice emerged low and steady. "Looks that way." A painful smile touched her lips. "I suppose everyone expects fireworks. They always do." She nodded. Because everyone knew the story. Her father, Henry Carter, had once been Nathaniel's father's business partner. Together, they owned the largest cattle operation in the territory. Then greed entered the picture. Documents disappeared. Land changed hands. Money vanished. And within months, Nathaniel's father lost everything. The humiliation killed him. His mother died not long after. Nathaniel left town carrying only grief. Meanwhile, Henry Carter became wealthy. The villain everyone hated. Except fate had already punished him. Henry Carter had died years earlier, leaving behind mountains of debt. Leaving Evelyn alone. Now, she lived quietly on a failing ranch, barely worth saving. Nathaniel looked toward the distant hills. "I heard your father passed 5 years ago. Did he ever tell you the truth?" The question struck like a bullet. Evelyn swallowed. "No." Nathaniel laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. Convenient. She didn't defend her father, didn't argue, didn't make excuses. That surprised him, because he had prepared for anger, prepared for denial, prepared for war. Instead, he found sadness, and somehow that unsettled him more. A sheriff approached. "Nathaniel, the judge is waiting." Nathaniel nodded. Then looked back at Evelyn. "Take care of yourself." She blinked. Confused. So was everyone else, because revenge had not come. Not yet. Nathaniel entered the courthouse. The crowd followed. Inside. The truth finally emerged. A forgotten lawsuit. New evidence. Old records uncovered by attorneys. Records proving Henry Carter had stolen nearly everything. Records that legally transferred the remaining Carter property to Nathaniel, including Evelyn's ranch, including her home, including every acre she had left. Gasps filled the room. The judge signed the order, and just like that, Evelyn lost everything. The crowd immediately looked toward Nathaniel. Now it would begin. Now he would throw her out. Now revenge would finally arrive. Nathaniel slowly folded the papers. Then he looked directly at Evelyn and said words nobody expected. "You can stay." The room froze. Evelyn stared. "What?" "You heard me." "Why?" Nathaniel's eyes never left hers. Because for the first time he noticed something impossible. She looked exactly like someone carrying a punishment she never earned. And deep inside himself, something began to crack, but neither of them knew the truth. waiting beneath the ruins of the past. A truth that would change everything. The ranch should have belonged to Nathaniel. Now, legally it did. Yet weeks passed without. Change. Evelyn remained in the house. Nathaniel never demanded. Rent never ordered her away, never acted like a conqueror, which only made the town more suspicious. People constantly asked questions. Why haven't you removed her? Why show mercy to a Carter? Her family ruined yours. Nathaniel always gave the same answer. The debt wasn't hers, but privately he struggled. Every corner of the ranch reminded him of his father. Fences. The barns, the grazing. Fields. Memories lived everywhere. Sometimes. He hated being there. Sometimes. He hated her simply because she carried her father's name. Then he would see her helping a sick horse, repairing broken fences herself, working until her hands bled. And the hatred vanished. One evening, a storm rolled across the plains. Nathaniel rode out to check the northern pasture. Lightning split the sky. Rain hammered the sea. Earth. Then he spotted movement. A horse, riderless, running. Wild. His stomach tightened. Because he recognized the saddle. Evelyn. He followed tracks through mud and darkness. The search lasted nearly an hour. Finally, he found her, pinned beneath a fallen tree. Half conscious. Rain soaking her clothes. Nathaniel jumped from his horse. Evelyn! Her eyes fluttered open. Nathaniel! The relief in her voice struck him unexpectedly. He pushed against the heavy trunk. Again, until it finally shifted. She cried out as he pulled her free. Her ankle was injured. Badly. She couldn't walk. Without hesitation, he lifted her into his arms. Storm raged around them, but neither seemed to notice. Evelyn looked up at him. Why do you keep helping me? He stared ahead because he didn't know the answer. Or maybe he did. And was afraid to say it. Back at the ranch, he stayed all night. Changing bandages, keeping fever away, watching over her. Near dawn she woke. Nathaniel sat nearby. Exhausted. She studied him quietly. You aren't what people think. His jaw tightened. Neither are you. The words lingered. Dangerous. Intimate. Too honest. Something shifted between them. Something neither could stop. Days turned into weeks. Conversations became easier. Laughter appeared unexpectedly. Nathaniel found reasons to remain near her. Evelyn found herself waiting for his footsteps. Then one afternoon they rode together across the western ridge. The sunset painted gold across endless grass. Beautiful. Peaceful. Perfect. Until they saw smoke. Black smoke rising from Evelyn's ranch. Nathaniel spurred his horse forward. Fear exploded inside him. By the time they arrived, flames consumed the barn. Workers rushed everywhere. Buckets flew. Animals screamed. The fire spread rapidly. Nathaniel immediately joined the fight. Hours later, they finally contained it. Exhausted. Covered in soot. Standing among ruins. Then the sheriff arrived. His face grim. We found evidence. Nathaniel looked up. What evidence? The sheriff swallowed. Someone started this fire intentionally. The crowd grew silent. Then the sheriff revealed the name of the suspect. A name connected directly to Nathaniel's dead father. And suddenly old wounds reopened. The suspect was Samuel Briggs, Nathaniel's former ranch foreman, the man who had served his family for years. The man Nathaniel trusted more than almost anyone. Nobody could believe it, least of all Nathaniel. Samuel denied everything, furiously, repeatedly. Yet evidence continued appearing. Witnesses. Tracks. Fuel containers. Enough to cast doubt. Nathaniel spent sleepless nights wrestling with questions. Had Samuel sought revenge on the Carters all these years? Had he finally snapped? Evelyn noticed the burden growing heavier. One evening she found Nathaniel sitting alone outside the burned barn. The stars stretched endlessly overhead. Neither spoke at first. Finally she sat beside him. "You think he did it?" Nathaniel sighed. "I don't know." "Then don't condemn him before you know." Nathaniel looked at her. The daughter of the man who had been condemned by history. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Days later another discovery emerged. A hidden ledger. Old records. Numbers. Payments. Secrets. Nathaniel spent hours studying every page. And what he found shattered everything. Henry Carter had not acted alone. Several wealthy businessmen had participated. Bribery. Fraud. Forgery. A conspiracy stretching across years. Yet one detail stood out. A signature, repeated over and over. Not Henry Carter's. Someone else's. Nathaniel felt sick because he recognized it. Immediately, the signature belonged to his own uncle, Edward Hawthorne, the man who had raised him after his parents died, the man he loved, the man he trusted. The man who had spent 10 years encouraging revenge. Nathaniel rode to confront him. The meeting became explosive. Edward denied everything, then blamed the dead, and blamed Henry Carter, then blamed circumstances. Eventually, the truth emerged. Greed. Pure. Greed. Edward had orchestrated most of it. Henry Carter had participated, but not alone. Not even as the mastermind. Nathaniel stood frozen. His entire life had been built upon hatred. Hatred aimed at the wrong target. Edward sneered. "You needed someone to blame." Nathaniel's hands shook. "You destroyed both families." Edward laughed. "And look what it made you." Nathaniel left before he did something irreversible. The truth spread quickly. Townspeople were stunned. Some apologized to Evelyn. Others couldn't meet her eyes because they had judged her for years, punished her for sins she never committed. Nathaniel found her near the river. She turned when she heard his horse. One look at his face, and she knew. "You found the truth." He nodded. Pain filled his voice. "I was wrong." Evelyn's eyes glistened. Neither spoke for several moments. Then Nathaniel stepped closer. "I spent years believing I hated you." Her breath caught. "And now?" Nathaniel reached for her hand, but before he could answer, gunfire shattered the evening air. A bullet struck the dirt beside them. Another followed, and hidden among the rocks stood a man determined to keep old secrets buried forever. Nathaniel threw Evelyn behind cover. More shots echoed across the riverbank. The attacker fled before they could identify him, but the message was obvious. Someone feared the truth very much. The following weeks became dangerous. Witnesses disappeared. Records vanished. Threats arrived at night. The conspiracy reached further than anyone imagined. Nathaniel refused to back down. Neither did Evelyn. Together, they uncovered everything. Every stolen acre. Every forged signature. Every ruined family. Side by side, they fought for justice. And somewhere along the way, they stopped pretending there. Feelings weren't real. One evening, Nathaniel found Evelyn standing beneath the porch lantern, the ranch quiet around them, the wind gentle, the world finally still. For once there were no investigations. No enemies. No fear. Only them. Nathaniel stepped closer. "Evelyn." She looked up. His voice softened. "I don't know when it happened." Her heart raced. "Neither do I." A smile touched his lips. The first truly happy smile she had ever seen from him. Then he kissed her. Slowly. Tenderly. As though afraid she might disappeared. Years of pain dissolved in a single moment. When they finally pulled apart, tears filled Evelyn's eyes. She laughed through them. I never thought this would be my story. Neither did I. For the first time, the future felt possible. Then disaster struck. The next morning, Nathaniel was arrested. The remaining conspirators had acted. First, false accusations, manufactured evidence, bribery. The sheriff had no choice. Nathaniel was taken away in chains. The town watched in horror. Evelyn stood, frozen. Helpless. Terrified. Nathaniel met her gaze before entering the jail. Don't stop fighting. Then the door closed. Days became weeks. The trial approached. Evidence seemed overwhelming. Corrupt men controlled everything. Nathaniel faced losing his freedom forever. Yet, Evelyn refused surrender. She traveled across counties. Tracked witnesses. Recovered hidden documents. Risked everything. Again and again. People who once ignored her now joined her cause. Because they finally saw who she truly was. Not Henry Carter's daughter. Just Evelyn. A woman worth believing in. On the eve of trial, she uncovered one final piece of evidence. Proof capable of destroying the conspiracy forever. But obtaining it had placed her directly in danger. Because the men responsible had realized exactly what she knew. And as she rode home through darkness, riders emerged from the shadows behind her. The chase stretched across miles of open prairie. Moonlight flashed across, frightened eyes and pounding hooves. Evelyn rode harder than she ever had before. The evidence remained hidden. Inside her SATCHEL. The truth. The thing powerful men feared most. Gunshots cracked through the night. One bullet tore through her sleeve. Another struck her horse. The animal stumbled. Evelyn hit the ground hard. Pain exploded through her body. The riders closed in. Then another sound thundered across the darkness. More horses, more riders, coming fast. The townspeople. Ranchers. Workers. Families. People. Nathaniel and Evelyn had helped. People who finally chose courage. The attackers fled. This time they couldn't silence anyone. The trial began 2 days later. The courtroom overflowed. Every seat filled. Every hallway crowded. The territory waited. Evelyn took the stand. Steady. Brave. Unshaken. One by one witnesses followed. Truth after truth emerged. The conspiracy collapsed. Names fell. Lies crumbled. Power disappeared. And by sunset Nathaniel walked free. The courtroom erupted. Cheers echoed everywhere. Evelyn pushed through the crowd. Nathaniel met her halfway. Neither cared who watched. Embraced. Tightly. Desperately. As though making up for years stolen by grief and hatred. You saved me, he whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks. No. She smiled. We saved each other. Months later, peace finally returned. Land was restored. Families compensated. Old wounds slowly healed. One evening, Nathaniel stood beside the same courthouse where everyone had once expected revenge. The town gathered again, but this time for a different reason. Evelyn arrived wearing a simple cream-colored dress. Beautiful. Radiant. Happy. Nathaniel took her hands. His voice trembled slightly, not from fear, from love. The day I came home, everyone expected me to hate you. Evelyn smiled through tears. So did I. The crowd laughed softly. Nathaniel continued. They expected revenge. He looked into her eyes, but revenge never could have given me what you did. Her tears fell freely now. You gave me truth. He squeezed her hands. You gave me forgiveness. Emotion tightened his throat. And somehow you gave me a future. The town grew silent. Nathaniel dropped to one knee. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Evelyn Carter. She laughed and cried at the same time. I don't care about the past anymore. His eyes shone. I only care about every tomorrow. He opened a small ring box. "Will you marry me?" She didn't hesitate, not even for a second. Yes. The answer arrived through tears, through laughter, through every wound they had survived together. The crowd erupted. Cheers echoed across the street. Nathaniel rose and pulled her into his arms, then kissed her beneath a sky painted gold by the setting sun. Years later, people still told the story. Not because of revenge, not because of betrayal, not because of scandal. They remembered it because two broken hearts had chosen something rarer, something harder, something far more powerful. When the whole world expected hatred, they chose love. And in doing so, they healed not only themselves, but everyone around them.